Hey, it's St. Patrick's Day. You gotta do an Irish whiskey. I have 4 bottles here, 2 of which I reviewed last year, but today we're gonna go with the basics. Jameson triple distilled Irish whiskey and their newest release, basically Jameson with coffee in it for you coffee addicts. Stay tuned. Hey, you've tuned into the Rookie Wine and Whiskey Enthusiast channel, YouTube's primary channel for discussing Washington State wines, spirits, and whiskeys, but not exclusively. And tonight's one of those nights. Why? Because it is St. Patrick's Day. You know, we're going to go ahead and, as I said in the intro, discuss one of the most iconic names in Irish whiskey, Jameson. But before we do that, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, after you hit the subscribe button, please hit the bell icon. That way, when I do upload these videos, you are notified when I do. Also, if you do like this content, please hit the thumbs up button as well. That being said, let's jump right into Jameson. Jameson is one of those whiskeys that it doesn't matter if you are in a bar here in Seattle. It could be the most hipster bar in Seattle. It could be the most redneck bar in Belt, Montana. It could be a cowboy bar in Austin, Texas. It could be a new Buffalo Bills sports bar in Buffalo, New York. The thing is no matter what bar you go into, 90% chance you're going to find Jameson Irish whiskey in there. This is one of the most bar-friendly, budget-friendly whiskeys just to introduce somebody into a whiskey. And let's be honest, Irish whiskey, because it's triple distilled typically, pot stilled, it has a very mellow flavor. So it is one of those whiskeys where you can easily introduce somebody to whiskey and then lead them on into scotch or bourbon or rye. So that being said, Jameson is distilled at the Middleton Distillery, same as the Redbreast 12-year-old cask strength. This one here that I reviewed last year, I don't believe Teeling is out of the Middleton Distillery, but I do have these here, not as a comparison, but to let you know, Irish whiskey in my house is an important deal. I like Irish whiskey. It's one of those whiskeys where if somebody comes in and I know that they're not a whiskey person, I'm going to introduce them to this Jameson. Matter of fact, the person behind the camera today, my son will be turning 21 next year. His first sip of whiskey will probably be Jameson, you know, to start learning the nuances of whiskey. But let's go ahead and jump right in. Now, Irish whiskey is typically pot stilled. This is triple distilled. I believe it has to be aged a minimum of 3 years. Now, the thing about Irish whiskey is they have a wood requirement, but not an oak requirement. Now, this probably is done in, I believe, ex-bourbon casks, because it's not, there's really, typically Jameson's not done in sherry. I don't think. Now, let's jump right in. Now, this is bottled at 40% ABV. Now, for an 80 proof, it does have some good oil to it. It's a little bit of viscosity, but I have had to let it sit because even at 80%, there is a strong ethanol note to it. Just how Jameson presents itself. Have that ethanol note. There's a little bit of white fruit like banana, a little bit of pineapple, and kind of there's a buttery, creamy, if you were to melt butter, you get that note of butter that wafts in the air when you've gone ahead and you put, say you take a stick of butter and you're about ready to sear a steak, you go and put the stick of butter in the cast iron, and there's that kind of a warming brown butter note as it starts to cook. Very, very pleasant. Like I said, this is a very mild whiskey. Let's go ahead and jump right into the sip. That butter note, it covers your palate. I am getting a little bit of a sour apple on the back end a little bit. but I have that banana, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of bananas, but when it comes to the whiskey, it actually is rather pleasant. I do get a little bit of a cream soda note as well. Thankfully, the pineapple is very minimal on this. Again, this is just your basic Irish whiskey. Let's go ahead. There's a little bit of vanilla that came through there. Let's go ahead and have one more sip of this. Definitely that brown butter, cream soda, a little bit of tart or sour apple. I'm actually getting out of an apple crisp note. Okay? Very nice. Anyways, a couple years ago, Jameson started coming out with their cask mate releases. I believe they have a Guinness, they have an IPA. I don't have any of their bottles here. I did try their Guinness stout one once. As a fan of Guinness beer, very, very strong beer note. Well, here living in the Pacific Northwest, I'm a huge coffee fan. So this year they came out with Cold Brew, which is whiskey and coffee. Jameson Irish whiskey infused with natural cold brew coffee flavor. Now, this one is not at 40%. It is at, I want to say 36 or 30. There it is, 30%. So it is 60 proof. Now, it does say that it's the coffee they use is Brazilian and Colombian Arabica beans. And there is no sugar added, which is good. Let's go ahead and read on the bottle here. The best of both worlds, Jameson Irish whiskey infused with cold brew coffee flavor made with roasted Arabica beans from Brazil and Colombia. Mix it in a cocktail or best enjoyed over ice. We're not going to do either one. I have had it over ice. I do like it over ice. But let's go ahead and taste it room temperature as is. Obviously, it is much, much darker. Now, I don't expect a whole lot. Now, this bottle's been open about a week and a half now. All right, right off the bat, that acetone note is gone. The coffee has diluted it, being it's down that it's at 30%. I actually get a little bit of that butter note, and with the coffee note, the coffee is very, very strong. I am thinking Folgers. If you ever opened up one of those tin cans of Folgers, you went ahead and peeled back the tin foil on that, and that coffee note hits you right off the bat. Getting a lot of that. I drink bulletproof coffee because I am ketogenic. It's almost reminding me of a slightly buttered coffee. Now, I'm also getting no fruit on this. Yeah, the coffee is just overwhelming. So it's a coffee and a butter note. All right, let's go ahead and take a sip. Okay. I get a lot more of the butter that time on that particular sip than I did when I nosed it. Okay. I'm going to say, out of all of the cask mates and all the special variants that Jameson has done, this is probably my favorite. If for any other reason, I'm a coffee nerd and I love a good, strong cup of coffee. And it doesn't matter if it's a specialty brew or Starbucks. I really do like my coffee. Now, the way I've had this before is I will put 2 ounces in a rocks glass with over an ice ball. And then I will add heavy. I've tried half and half, and I've tried it with heavy whipping cream. I will take about a half an ounce to a full ounce of heavy whipping cream and pour it in there. And it's almost like a Bailey's Irish cream or an Irish coffee, cold brew coffee. So give that a try. I wish I'd brought out the heavy whipping cream. I'd show you exactly how I do it. But anyways, I am hoping that they keep up with this because this is actually a very good staple. I'm going to be exploring other ways to make it into cocktails. I may even try and blend it as a hot toddy. Not sure yet. Thinking about it. Probably will do it. We'll see. Anyways, have you guys had Jameson? Either of the regular Jameson? What do you guys think? Is it just too bland? Is it overrated? Is it underrated? I think it's really an underrated Irish whiskey. What am I going to rate this? I'm going to rate this a solid 83 out of 100. This will always have a place in my bar. If for any other reason, price point, and it's a good intro to giving somebody what Irish whiskey starts out as. Let's go talk about the Jameson Cold Brew. I love this. I really, really do. And with summer coming up here, this is going to taste extremely well out on the deck in the evenings over ice with heavy whipping cream in it. So I'm not going to give this one a rating because, let's be honest, it's more of a liqueur than it is a whiskey. So that being said, please comment down below. Have you had either of these down there? What do you think of Jameson's? What do you think of the Jameson's Cold Brew? Do you guys think I'm good on the Jameson's, or do you think my rating is way off and you'd never touch it because you've had Irish, you've had Redbreast? Like I said, these two bottles, yes, this is a superior product than the Jameson, but they are distilled at the same distillery. So, anyways, let me know down in the comments down below. Like I said, hit thumbs up button. Please, folks. It is St. Patrick's Day. It is a day, even though the bars are closed in most states because of the coronavirus, if you're celebrating at home, if you're celebrating with friends and family, please drink responsibly. Life is too short for either bad wine or bad whiskey. Jameson is not a bad whiskey, no matter what some of the snobs out there say. Cheers. One last thing. Today would have been my son Patrick's 27th birthday. Patrick, you're always missed. Love you, my son. Can't wait to see you someday. Cheers.